And we're going to jump into our very first matchup of the day, our first quarterfinal here in the lower brackets. It is indeed RAXXAZ versus LIVERT. It's pick and ban time. So over to Sam and to Say.
Here we go. The tale of the tortoise and the hare. Will it be slow and steady, or speedy pure skill to win the Europe Cup ticket? As we have LIVERT versus RAXXAZ in our first match of the losers round number 1. We already have pre-bans coming in there, Say. We have a Dooman and a Sekhmet.
I like what both players are doing here. Dooman is that hard counter to pretty much everything that LIVERT brings, but the one counter that LIVERT has in his arsenal to actually counter speed comps is that Sekhmet. So respecting both of those, and we're picking very fast here, so RAXXAZ definitely did know NFL's coming out, and I have that Bella plus that Cigar. Bella we have seen last week on Lufia, on Sapien, also on Obabo and RAXXAZ. Like a lot of them have that Bella, and it did an insane amount of damage. Let's see what LIVERT brings. Goes for that Kinky plus the Achroma.
Wow, so interesting picks right here. I was just having a look. Bella actually didn't have a over 50% win rate during last weekend, so it's interesting to see that he has decided to prepare with a Bella in order for this match here. And then LIVERT responding with a Kinky and with an Achroma. As we saw last weekend, Kinky was built on Despair. I'm wondering if LIVERT decided to keep that, or if he's potentially figured out that it might not... It didn't work too well against Nicer Smicer. But let's see what RAXXAZ responds with. A Dominic and a Jogun.
I absolutely like that Dominic. I called out the Dominic last week, and the Dominic is actually also what I used last year against LIVERT. It's that one single target hard snipe unit, but paired up with the Jogun is so smart. You can scroll out one of the units, and you can give attack buff to those units, the Bella and the Dominic. They're gonna do so much damage. LIVERT really has to come in with some survivability with that Vanessa and the Riley in there, but is that enough survivability, because RAXXAZ still has a 5th slot that could add even more damage?
Exactly. It's actually interesting. I think both Liam and Jogun have not appeared yet in our SWC EU prelims. So this is first times. This is an extra to the 74 units we've already seen during the past weekend. Let's see who he's going to partner it off with. Vanessa, on the other hand, a pick from LIVERT there, actually didn't have too much of a great win rate last weekend. She was down to 38% win rate, and maybe against a Wusa it could be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I definitely do like this Wusa pick as well, adding in that little bit of protection, and there's not a single stripper on the side of LIVERT. Well, technically we have a stripper in Vanessa on the skill too, but that's just one debuff. So banning, I would definitely say that you kind of have to ban that Wusa, but you also have to then either the Dominic or the Bella, otherwise you might lose a unit straight off the get-go. On the other side, banning the Vanessa so you don't have to kill it first and you can kill one of the other 2 units is definitely a valid option. Or maybe just banning out that Kinky, because that's probably the highest damage potential on the side of LIVERT.
Here we go, bans coming in. Vanessa is banned out, and the Jogun as well is also banned out, Say.
Yeah, pretty interesting on those bans, definitely. It does mean that Wusa is gonna have free reign of Will of Immortality all of the time. Like the 3rd skill is gonna be a lot of shields, a lot of immunity all the time. So that's definitely for LIVERT to come through. You have that one turn in between where you actually can hit things, and that is what LIVERT needs to win this match, I would say.
Okay, here we go. So we've got the HP lead from Achroma and a HP lead from Dominic as well, as we kicking things off now in match 1, set 1. Losers round bracket, and taking the first turn is going to be Bella.
So Bella, this is going to decide who are you going to hard focus. Are you going to focus that Achroma? Focus the Achroma, that is so much damage. Goes for that 2nd hit right away. That is nearly that Achroma out of the field. Dominic will for sure seal the deal on this one. You could even decide to use another skill on the Wusa S2, but probably it's the best to go for in Wusa S3. Keep up the protection over here, and then Dominic just the skill 1. You don't even have to use the skill 2, and you're just clearing out the unit straight off the get-go, and it's a 3 against 4 very early on.
Wow, fully sniping out from RAXXAZ there, getting rid of that Achroma. It's going to take a lot now for LIVERT to kind of keep healthy, because Bella has already gone through her skill twice, so we're going to get both of the skills available for her. Resisting against him, there's a lot of shield and immunity to deal with here, Say.
Yeah, there's a lot of shield and immunity to deal with, but the thing is, because the NFL is provoked, couldn't go for the heal over there, was also reset, and that's where we're gonna go for a 2nd kill right away. And this is looking very dire for LIVERT, and this was very well drafted by RAXXAZ.
Wow, so it maybe shows that during the draft you can already win a match. I mean, it was very much written on the cards as soon as Bella went first. That was so much damage again. We did see that last weekend as well, with a lot of damage on Bella's. But again now, Cigar going into 3rd skill, gets the cool time, not the pushback, but I think it's very much LIVERT looking at the drawing board for the next match now.
Yeah, definitely looking at the drawing board, checking like, okay, I had some of the units, we have some sleep potential, doesn't go all the way through though, but there are some potentials, like normally that segment is that unit that was pre-banned in this case, that LIVERT can pick up to deal with those units. Does LIVERT have more than one unit to deal with the speedy units? That's what we can see, for example, in other players such as Timbo. They have multiple speed units, but in this case, LIVERT didn't have that, and that's a very clean victory for RAXXAZ.
Wow, RAXXAZ really coming out hot on this very first match of our European Prelims Day 3. Seemed to have a plan, knew exactly what he was doing, was drafting very quickly into LIVERT as well, which obviously means that he's prepared, and preparing things like that Bella and Cigar. Cigar and Bella we'd seen pretty often in the previous weekend and had worked to a very good effect, I would say, overall. Does LIVERT now have to look to try and ban? He's banning the Cigar, and RAXXAZ deciding to ban the usual first pick for LIVERT, Annabelle.
Okay, so I definitely do think that RAXXAZ has like a two different kind of complete drafts set up as preparation. So definitely curious to see what RAXXAZ would go for in this case. I don't think he will go the similar draft. I don't think he would go for the Bella. Okay, he still goes for the Bella, but I don't think we're gonna see the Jogun, Dominic, those kind of units. We could still see it, but we have that Segment and Kinky being picked up by LIVERT.
Yeah, it's interesting actually as well because Sekhmet actually had a 63% win rate last weekend. So she is a unit which when she's on the field can do a lot of, or make a lot of difference, especially if she lands her third skill. Let's see if that could happen today. RAXXAZ looking now to decide with a Duman and maybe partnering it up with something else that's got some sort of a good win rate. But he's going for that Jogun again.
Okay, back with the Jogun. That's pretty interesting. I think the Duman is slightly worse into that segment already on the field. LIVERT, but you're still gonna know LIVERT is gonna take that second turn except for that segment most likely. LIVERT, can you bring any other speed units? Do you maybe happen to have like an Ethna or any other units that might seal the deal here and kill one of the units of RAXXAZ? Or are you gonna still go for a turn 2 combination? Saying like, okay, takes away the Dominic, it takes a Chroma. Interesting, so we haven't seen Dominic at all last week. I called it out a few times in the cast, and we're gonna see 2 matches back-to-back Dominics.
Wow, there you go, Say. Maybe they listened into our cast, right? Had to figure out and was like, Say no, what's he's doing? You know, we need to listen to this guy, you know, he's been around the block a few times. And he's come out with a Dominic. Maybe it was more of a steal. I'm not sure if LIVERT had actually prepared the Dominic. But let's find out because RAXXAZ takes a bit more time and comes back with Raccoon and 100% win rate on Miles last weekend. So a very strong unit to draft in.
Yeah, definitely. The Miles is pretty good against or for single target damage as well, and the draft is still signaling on a lot of single target damage. However, there's not too many buffs on the field. You do have that speed buff potential from the Raccoon into the Miles, but the moment that the Raccoon would be banned out, the Miles will take quite a while to stack up his maximum damage potential. We have from LIVERT picking up his signature Leona as well. So that does mean that this is one of the few drafts from LIVERT that doesn't have any heal, which is pretty odd to see on the side of LIVERT at all.
Well, I mean, his Annabelle was banned out, so there's no heal there. And yeah, deciding instead for Leona, apart from something like O'Reilly. But O'Reilly, like you said, the buff's on the field. Miles is only going to get more dangerous. We have a Raccoon banned out, and we have the Sekhmet banned out there, Say.
Pretty interesting both sides. So I would definitely say the big question is like who's going to kill who faster. Like we see a lot of damage on both sides of the field. Pretty much all 4 units on the side of LIVERT have very strong damage. RAXXAZ side, except that Jogun, it's also very strong single target damage across the field. So definitely interesting on that match over here.
Here we go, going into set number 2. I'm imagining that Bella's going to be taking first turn again. No, we've got Miles, obviously. What am I thinking, Say?
Miles with the first turn. This is going to say, okay, who are you gonna kill first? Are you gonna go for the Dominic or... Yeah, definitely Dominic would be righteous. Gets a proc once again on that first turn. Definitely very beneficial. You could decide not to scroll right now if you want to full kill that Dominic. The issue with scroll trap in general is that a Dominic would come back with the amount of attack bar that he has right now. Actually misses the skill, so therefore... no harm done in that one. So are you still going to kill that Dominic right here? I think it is the right play.
Here we go, Bella's going in. Doesn't quite manage it, but there is the dot on the top. I can't fully see if it would be enough, but let's say maybe not.
I don't think it is enough, but you can throw that karma on that unit as well. Just get the little bit of the extra damage in, and that's going to definitely be enough. And then the skill 3, you could decide to throw somewhere else. However, if you throw it on Leona, if I'm not mistaken, shields kind of counter Curse of Death. It's one of the very few counters. As you can see, it did not drop 25% HP on that Leona. So if you're not touching this Leona right now, she won't get a shield, and that could be a nice factor there. But let's see how much damage we get from this armor break. That's some crazy damage, and we have the proc her back. That is going to seal the deal for this Bella, maybe? S1 does have a lot of less damage potential, because there is no scaling from enemy max HP. But can you kill it?
Whoa.
Doesn't kill it by the sliver of health.
It's not quite enough to kill out that Bella just yet. Miles is going to be coming in to take the turn. Like you said, maybe it's not good to go for the Leona, goes for the Kinky, and we do have a dead Dominic, so that dot was enough in the end.
Yeah, in this case we do have the provoke over there, so that's once again also having that shield up there. So there's 3 heavy damage dealers on the side of LIVERT, but the main damage dealer on the side of RAXXAZ is just that Miles right now. So is that Miles going to be enough to actually clear and seal the deal? Or is another unit being potential of doing some extra damage as well?
Here we go. Kinky didn't manage to get any stuns, but I imagine it's still built on the Despair. Miles is going to follow up now. 7k damage onto the Kinky, so it's getting a little bit more, but Akroma with a defense break on the Jogun over there. Is she going to take the kill? She's going for it. Huge 13k.
Yeah, that's a very nice damage there. Once again, that additional damage from enemy max HP on that armor break scales so nice if you have that 100 crit rate, high crit damage. And in this case, yeah, you have to tumble in some damage into that Kinky already, because you cannot really do that to the Akroma. Plus the Kinky has the armor break potential, so you definitely have to get rid of that to see if you can clear the match that way. And we have a stun on that Miles, which is huge and taking so much damage from that RAXXAZ. We have an armor break coming, and that's a lot of damage going into the Miles.
Here we go. So Dooman has the Curse of Death again. She's obviously not going to be using it, but manages a big stun and a proc out from Miles as well. Can he start doing enough damage? Wasn't enough to kill out that Leona.
Yeah, that was not enough, but it was a very nice procer right there. However, if he managed to kill it, would be so much nicer. Akroma, how much damage are you gonna do on this? Because you definitely need that Miles to kill that Akroma at some point. Because once again, Duma cannot land anything on that Akroma, and therefore it will stay on the field quite a bit longer, especially when we might say goodbye to that Miles.
Yes, and Dooman does land the Curse of Death onto that Kinky, and it's down with Leona straight away. He's gonna have to target way more damage into the Akroma by the end, right, say?
Yeah, I think the Akroma is going to take the battlefield, even if the Kinky says goodbye right now, which he does. I see no chances, I see no world where a Dooman can actually take this against an Akroma, and RAXXAZ agrees on that, and we have the victory for LIVERT.
Wow, bringing it back 1-1. As we know, it's the best of 3, and it's the decisive match to try and get through to that semi-final today to then be playing for your Europe Cup ticket. So we're still a little way off. There was a slight change there. Obviously, RAXXAZ in the beginning pre-banning out that Anivel, which actually he dealt with pretty well in the first match. So maybe it's something now where, yep, we see a Sekhmet ban and even still the Dooman ban. So LIVERT's still a little bit scared of that unit potentially, even though in the end the Akroma was able to do enough damage.
Yeah, with the Akroma on the field, Dooman actually pretty much has nothing to say except for killing the allies of the Akroma. But let's see if we have a very similar style draft this time, or LIVERT tries to switch it up again. I definitely did like the switch up from LIVERT last time. If we went more for supports, more for healers in that last draft, it would have probably ended very differently, because he didn't have the damage to actually kill RAXXAZ, as RAXXAZ killed LIVERT in the first round. So let's see if LIVERT switches up this draft. We see the same units coming out as round 1 from RAXXAZ, but LIVERT, can you change up your draft again? Goes for a Nora, which is pretty interesting.
Actually, I think it's the first time we've seen her in EU prelims so far, Nora. So, interesting unit. I'm wondering if maybe it's even somewhat of a triple revenge build when LIVERT is playing in order to get a bit more health back. And obviously we've got that Kinky in there as well, which LIVERT is definitely drafting a lot of times. And in the end, for it being on the field in the last set, it just managed to evade or make RAXXAZ hit other targets, or hit the Kinky instead of other targets in order to survive a bit longer. Wow, we have the classic again from RAXXAZ from the very first set, say. We have Dominic and a Jogun.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about that, what is LIVERT trying to do with that Nora? But the Nora is saying like, okay, I already have a stripper in the slot too, so you cannot 5th pick a Wusa again, because I might actually throw in more strippers, or you have to decide about banning it. Because in the first draft that LIVERT showed, the main thing that actually lost him the draft was having 2 must bans in the Jogun and one of the damage dealers, plus having to ban that Wusa out. So in this case, we definitely could see still the Wusa being picked up, but we have a lot more damage from the side of LIVERT into those wind units of RAXXAZ.
Yeah, he came out with a Meihu 1, who actually had only a 25% win percentage from last weekend. We know it's a small sample size, but it still counts for something. RAXXAZ going for that Wusa, even with the Nora Stripper on the field.
Yeah, I would definitely say that probably the Nora is banned, that probably the Wusa is banned, because those kind of cancel each other out. If one of the two is on the field but the other is not, it is slightly disadvantageous for those two players. However, you could still decide to actually remove one of the higher damage units, but with that many fire, you're not banning out any of the wind units, I would say. So Jogan might still be the ban, but I definitely do signal that ban on the Nora.
Let's see, as they've got the last second in order to lock that in. We see the ban on the Nora, and we see a ban from the Dominic, though. Instead, LIVERT choosing a wind unit.
Pretty interesting to go for that ban on the Dominic, because that is not really the main damage that that RAXXAZ has. Plus, you have a lot of units to deal with it, so I'm not entirely sure. Probably we'll have Speed League picked up on one side, on the other side. I think it would go into that accuracy lead.
Yeah, I think usually when we... Oh, no, we're going for the defense from Cigar. Which is obviously a good amount of defense percentage up there for that leader skill. As we go into the deciding match for LIVERT versus RAXXAZ. First turn going to Jogan.
Jogan cannot scroll anything right now because in this case everything was on will runes. How much damage can we do this time? This time we kind of have to do the damage on the Vanessa, because the Vanessa passive is there. Decides to go into the Mei Wing for the pushbacks. Are we going to reset the Vanessa? No, we're going to reset and actually getting huge potential on those provokes. So we won't see any Vanessa strips anytime soon. Monkey, how much damage can you do? You're fighting a lot of shields, so probably it's not going to be all too much.
No, but he does get a proc out, but again, against those shields, he's not really breaking through anything right now. Jogan does have the possibility to use Scroll Trap. Goes for that Vanessa, which takes out then the skill to revive.
Yeah, definitely that Scroll Trap is very valuable right here. But how much damage can you do into that Mei Wing, and can you actually take it out before your immunity runs out? That's going to be the big question. We see another Vio Procer back, and that's a lot of damage. Plus that Wusa skill 2 that's coming up pretty soon. Is that going to be enough damage? We see another Procer on that Cigar. Doesn't do too much damage, but this Wusa S2 might seal the deal for that Mei Wing.
Wow, there you go. So in the end, it was enough damage just through the additional turns that both Bella and Cigar managed to get through there. Now Vanessa will be coming back very soon, but is RAXXAZ going to be able to take out another unit now? Like maybe the Annabelle, since Cigar's going to be following up again. Lands defense break and provoke.
Annabelle, can you go for the procers? No, those procers were very much needed. If you were managing to get a proc off, go for that skill 3. We have some huge damage on those units, but also the despair stunts. The big thing right now is we do not have Wusa skill 3 coming up. Annabelle could go for a potential skill 3 right now. Armor break AoE. Kinky, how much damage can you do on those armor breaks? Does land armor break on everything. Has a healing potential as well. Vanessa, skill 2 on that Bella. How much damage can you do? Followed up by that Kinky. Can you take out a unit, and who do you decide to take out? Goes for that Bella. That's a lot of damage. Kinky's definitely gonna seal the deal on this one. This is why you would have liked to have that skill 2, but skill 2 was very well used previously to get those stunners in to make this play possible.
Ooh, big stun though on the Kinky, meaning now he's not going to be able to revenge until he gets a turn again. Are we going to be getting any sleeps out from Annabelle? Huge sleep.
That's a huge sleep. We do have the reset from the Cigar going in, and while this Kinky is being stunned, he cannot revenge. So we also have the third skill coming in from the Wusa, giving in a lot of protection. Decides to actually go for damage. That's a good choice as well. But now you could go into a sleep cycle of that Annabelle. If Annabelle goes for that sleep cycle right now, it might have been a very wrong choice.
Yeah, we've got Vanessa. She's got second skill available just to do a little bit more damage into the side of RAXXAZ. And going into the Cigar, this time doing a 16k hit on that Cigar, and Kinky's going to follow up and kill.
That is
not enough!
Not enough, but there was so much damage from that Vanessa. Once again, talked about it before. Enemy max HP scaling. Cigar is known to have a lot of HP. But the thing that we have to keep in mind, the Vanessa already has the third skill up back again. If it's sealed right now, it's not sealed. That is so huge for LIVERT right now, because you have the potential to take out that Vanessa right now. Vanessa, are you pushed back? Vanessa's not pushed back. How much damage is skill 1? It's going to be a huge shield. Do you actually have enough damage? Cigar is moving next. He does it. There's enough damage. It strips the immunity, lands the armor break. This is so much potential for LIVERT right now with that stunner coming back. And we have like the moment that the Annabelle would actually drop away. We still have that Vanessa up. Goes for a procer as well. Has more as well potential. Gets the sleep. Kills on that sleep. And this is going to seal the deal. And this is going to make LIVERT go on to the next round.
Wow, his trademark style of play had to change it up, and here we have LIVERT progressing through to the semi-final of today.